Now to the biggest statewide race you'll see on the ballot in Texas, the campaign for U.S. Senate. The latest poll shows this race is holding steady. Incumbent Republican John Cornyn with 49% of support, Democratic challenger MJ Hegar with 43%, and 7% remain undecided. Quinnipiac did this survey of 1,100 likely Texas voters. Our first guest this morning is Senator John Cornyn, the senior senator in Texas, now running for his fourth term in Washington. A reminder, we had on his challenger, MJ Hegar, a few weeks ago. Senator, thank you for the time.
Thanks, Jason.
Let's talk about the vote tomorrow for Amy Coney Barrett. What do you expect to happen? Is this? We know it's going to be along party lines, but what are you actually expecting in the chamber?
Well, we saw her voted out of the Judiciary Committee, and which was a unanimous vote because all of the Democrats decided to boycott the Judiciary Committee markup. But she'll be voted confirmed on tomorrow, and she's an incredibly qualified person for this post. That's why during the hearings, the Democrats didn't really question her judicial philosophy or expertise or her fitness for the job. They projected upon her some conspiracy theory about what might happen in a future case. So she'll be confirmed, and I think she'll be a great addition to the court. And I know our Democratic friends are not too happy about it because they view the court as sort of an institution that bails them out when they lose elections, they lose votes. They look to the courts to make policy, but Judge Barrett is not that kind of judge, and I'm glad.
We'll wait and see what happens on Monday with that vote. I want to ask you about politics now in the campaign, since we're closing in on the final week and a half here or so. In the past few days, past week, we've seen you try to distance yourself from President Trump, and specifically a few days ago, you told the editorial board of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that you were against taking money from the U.S. military to help extend the U.S. border wall down on the Texas-Mexico border, but you voted for that with the president at the time. So what should Texans believe right now when it comes to this issue, and where you stand on it, Senator?
Well, they should believe that I am not trying to distance myself from the president. All I said to the editorial board is that when I'd have disagreements, I try to persuade him privately rather than get into a public Twitter battle. I just think that makes me more effective. And frequently, when we do have those private conversations, the president always listens and sometimes changes his mind. As far as the border wall is concerned, my Democratic friends don't care about border security anymore. My opponent said that Border Patrol was equivalent to the human rights abusers in communist China against the Uyghur minority. To me, that's just outrageous. But the point is that we need border security and we need our defense appropriations bills. And unfortunately, because Democrats chose not to fund any border security, we had no other option but to borrow that from the defense appropriation bill. But to me, border security is part of national security. So I don't see an inconsistency there. I'm just sorry that that was the choice we had to make.
I want to ask you about your Democratic opponent you brought up, MJ Hegar. She has been consistently outspending you on TV in the last few weeks. In the last month or so, but in the last couple of weeks, she's been outspending you 2-to-1. Are you going to counter that? What should Texans expect to see from you in the remaining days before the election?
We're seeing a flood of California and New York and Washington, D.C. money. We saw that starting with Beto O'Rourke's race against Ted Cruz, where Beto raised $80 million, about 60% of it from out of state. There are a lot of people from the East Coast and West Coast who'd like to change Texas. But I'm not for changing Texas. We know the Texas model works, but this is a opportunistic power grab, really, for another Texas, for a Senate seat in Texas. Chuck Schumer said he wants to be the majority leader, eliminate the legislative filibuster. He said everything's on the table, including D.C. statehood, along with 2 more senators, Puerto Rico, and stacking the Supreme Court.
Senator, about 30 seconds left here. I want to ask you about the campaign in the final moments here, too. 6 years ago, I covered your race, and you won against David Alamil by 27 points. In the final moments here, how close do you expect this race to be realistically come November 3rd?
I think it'll be single digits. You know, as you pointed out, she's outspending me 2-to-1 with all this out-of-state money. But there's more than money involved in campaigns. You know, you need some of it to defend yourself and to tell your story. But I'm proud of the campaign we've run. I think people know who I am. They understand that I believe in our great state and Texas exceptionalism. And MJ is mouthing all of the things that you hear from the radical left, like a single-payer healthcare system, a carbon tax, which will destroy our oil and gas industry. Those are not Texas values.
Senator, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you.
Let's revisit that Quinnipiac poll just for a moment here. The race for president in Texas has gotten a lot tighter than the Senate race. In the last month, Joe Biden has moved up a few points to 47%. Donald Trump has dropped several points to 47%. All in all, it's a dead heat here, if this poll is any indication.